Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Give it a big Jazz and Blues Festival warm welcome. A big hand for Crybaby and the Hilditch Boys.
Over 10 years ago, a small idea began its journey, and today we know it as Congleton Jazz and Blues Festival.
Yeah, he's the one that got us in this game. I was here last evening on that side town. Yeah, don't you know?
For over a decade, this date has been marked, August Bank Holiday. The atmosphere in the tight-knit community of Congleton is awash with electrifying whispers as Congleton Jazz and Blues Festival rains musical joy, bringing the local people and visitors together in this charming town.
Congleton Jazz and Blues Festival, it isn't really about music. Music is a facilitator, but it's about small town sustainability and raising community spirit.
Every band is amazing, you're not going to miss out on anything. That's another thing to put in the calendar, another thing to get excited about if you live here, another thing for a publican to get excited about, another thing for bands to be excited about. What's not to love? It's just ace.
For me, I would always describe the ethos of the festival being about the town, bringing the town together, and giving free music, and that was the thing that was always really important to me, that everything remained free, so that no matter what economic background you had, you could still access, and your family could still access live music.
Someone told you I had changed priorities.
Today, the festival is organised by a small team headed by Vince Cutcliffe. There was a time, in days long before, that jazz and blues did not hold a place in the heart of Congleton. All stories must have a beginning, and ours starts, as many often do, with a man and an idea. This man is Joe Manning, then owner of the White Lion, now proprietor of the Beartown Brewery, a fine establishment that produces high-quality ales and actively supports causes like animal rights.
My name's Joe Manning. I'm the MD at Manning Brewers, who owns the brand Beartown Brewery. December the 23rd, 2009, I bought the White Lion. Me and my friends would go over to Nantwich Jazz and Blues Festival, which is one of the biggest jazz and blues festivals that there are. I think it's one of the biggest in Europe, let alone in the UK. The thought process was as simple as, why can't we just do this in Congleton? It's a very similar sized town to Nantwich, and I have a pub, and I know lots of other publicans now, so I'm pretty sure I could do this.
Joe's idea was to bring something like that to Congleton, which is a smaller town, has not so many venues.
I remember that Joe had decided he wanted to put a festival on. We all used to go to Nantwich Jazz and Blues quite a lot, just because it was a good weekend, and I think he decided that he didn't want them to have all the fun anymore.
The genesis of what would become Congleton Jazz and Blues Festival stemmed from Joe's love of the genres, plus significant inspiration he gained from a similar festival called Nantwich Jazz and Blues. Held in 2010, the first festival included 6 venues: the Bull's Head, the White Lion, the King's Arms, the Beartown Tap, the Piano Bar and the Town Hall.
I worked out a model in my head, which was pretty basic. Pubs pay for bands, more people go in there, drink more beer, it pays for the band, town is a fun place to be. Went round a few pubs and said, do you like the Nantwich Jazz and Blues Festival? Yeah, it's great. Let's do one in Congleton.
Around that time, we were doing events anyway, so we'd put on a thing, myself and him would put on a thing called the Dirty Dozen, which was like an all-day band event to showcase local talent, and a lot of people were doing that at the time, is putting on their own shows just to kind of, for a place to play. And then obviously we'd been putting on events at the White Lion for him.
From its infancy, Congleton Jazz and Blues Festival soon gained a foothold. Yet, as with all great ideas, such a monumental undertaking required learning from mistakes and time to mature.
The organisation was they were beginning, so they didn't really know exactly what they were doing, but they did very well to put it on in the first place.
There were 2 people running it originally, and I think about 4 to 6 weeks before it went ahead, Joe's partner in organising it pulled out, which unfortunately left Joe pretty much on his own, rushing around trying to put everything together.
It went well enough to have a second one, is my summary. It didn't go great. There was always these echoes in the background like, oh, Jazz and Blues Festival in Congleton, that's never going to work.
Strictly speaking, I've always said that I'm not really jazz or blues. So the fact that I actually played in the first one's probably a bit of a mystery. But I mean, that's the thing that they've always kind of done with the festival, is even though it is called Jazz and Blues, they showcase a lot of talent.
All of the publicans who were involved in the festival, probably 50% of them would have said it was a success, and I would say success was breaking even at that point.
I think that's what I remember that first show we did. It was the enthusiasm was there to do it, and the drive of people wanting to do it, but it was just like, it was just bringing it together, because there's so many different things to sort out, aren't there? You know, programs are a big enough thing to sort out on its own, you know, but I don't know who was doing it, but, you know, I think they just had a million jobs to do. So it was a miracle probably that it was as good as it was that first year, really.
I think a lot of the venues had signed up, we'll have an act, we'll host an act, and then some bands didn't turn up, some venues were just waiting for someone to turn up and nobody did.
It was enough to capture the attention of Vince Cutcliffe, band member of Crybaby and the Hoochie Coochie Boys, and Louise Renn, an employee of the White Lion, both of whom became involved in the organising of the festival starting in 2011.
The main reason I started the Jazz and Blues Festival last year was because I wanted a festival in Congleton.
Bands like us are only too glad to help out when somebody wants to do that.
Jazz and Blues to me is just all about having a good time. It's nothing quite like live music.
A lot of people think blues is a very kind of low mood kind of music, but it isn't. We like people to get up and enjoy themselves.
Anything that has live music is pretty much great, especially if it's like in a cafe or a bar, you just sit down and drink and listen to music.
There's 6 venues that are playing jazz and blues music live all day.
There's no type of jazz or blues that's playing more than once. It's all completely different.
Because it's so diverse and there's so many different things to see, you might want to do 2 days.
We two came yesterday from 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon until 10 o'clock at night, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
We played here, we actually played this venue last year, and it was probably one of the best gigs we played. We had such a good time.
Whoever's organising it is doing a really good job to promote Congleton.
It really is about doing something really good for Congleton.
It's not really just about music, it's about getting people in town.
It's fantastic to have something on your doorstep. I've seen places that I didn't know existed in Congleton.
I think it's brought a lot of people out into town who might not have been out and about on a Saturday.
It just shows that there is an area for live music.
It makes me feel that Congleton's becoming a brighter and better place.
I would say for anyone who likes music, give blues a chance.
Thank you very much.
A guy in Poynton called Gary the Hat, he gave me a list of his categorised quality of bands ABC with suggested price ranges, and started trying to fill up the venues. One of the bands on there was Crybaby and the Hoochie Coochie Boys. I think they were a B+. I went about sort of sourcing these bands, just ringing them up, trying to get the show on the road, and I ended up getting Crybaby and the Hoochie Coochie Boys in the White Lion, which was my pub. We had outdoor covering all the way. It blew an absolute hoolie. There was like tornadoes swirling around and lightning and thunder and everything. The keyboard man there got electrocuted and cried and went off stage, but everybody else was loving the show too much. They were like, the show must go on, and they booed him off themselves. And it was an amazing gig. And the rest of town enjoyed it. And at the end of the gig, Vince grabbed hold of me and said, "I'd love to be involved, Joe. I think we could work together next year."
So year 1's 2010, year 2 is 2011, and that's 2011 is when Louise and myself joined in to help organise the festival.
Obviously, I've just had the most stressful 2 weeks of my life trying to pull this off, because I'm 25 years old at this time, don't even know what I'm doing, and just messing around, and suddenly the whole town's looking at me and they want it to be successful. So of course I bit Vince's arm off. And shortly after we met Louise started working with me at the White Lion, and Louise had just done a degree in basically organising events, and of course she needed to be on board with the show.
I got back from a backpacking trip, went in to speak to him to say, "Oh, I want to be involved in the festival," and then he offered me a job working in his pub as well, which was handy for a whole spectrum of reasons, because it was good to get to know the local people and the town folk, because that was handy for when trying to organise things for the festival.
Because that first year, I think that we none of us knew what we were doing. And we'd have a meeting at the ice cream shop or something.
Pub, Vince, don't lie.
Okay, we went to the pub. It started like that, and then I think what happened was we started preparing, instead of April, we started preparing in
earlier
in February, March, and then suddenly it was like in September, October, after the previous year, we'd start preparing in September, October.
It became a lot more demanding, a lot more of a needy beast.
The three of us got together with doing the next one, and I guess the biggest bit of feedback that I got from the whole experience was that there was demand to do another one. So the little tripod was born. The tripod did festivals 2 and 3 together. Vince and Louise took it to another level, the level that, like, Vince brought his corporate experience of working in business previously, and Louise brought a degree to the party.
I used to take a backpack and ride round Congleton and then other local towns and deliver flyers and posters. Many a friend I've taken out on a day out, like pitched as a day out, but it's ended up being, here, you carry this bag for life. No, sorry, 2 bags for life, and I'm just going to go and deliver these around all the businesses in Sandbach.
The Jazz and Blues Festival is held on the bank holiday weekend, and the key thing is on the weekend bit, on the Saturday and the Sunday, not on the Monday. I'm knackered by the end of Sunday. The band information, the gig information gets put into the programme, pictures, all that sort of thing. We have a map, we have information about what's going on, we have a whole schedule. There you go, 70 events, that's what it looks like. But all that work doesn't happen a couple of weeks before the August bank holiday. That happens in March and April, and we build the programme in May, this being the thing that we build. In terms of preparing for the festival, you've got to have venues, you've got to have money.
So I'd go around and hound business owners about sponsoring, and the sponsorship started at like £50, but a business that's trying to make ends meet, I imagine £50, like having time to review it, £50 probably is significant, especially when there's loads of other people that are saying, "Oh, can you donate for this, can you donate for that?"
You've got to have bands, you've got to have advertising or promotion, and you've got to have people to help in terms of putting the message out there in all its different ways, and you've got to have the kind of communication channels to make that happen. Getting the bands together, getting the money, getting the artwork, getting the promotion, putting the word out. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. There's a group of us that take responsibility for those sorts of things.
So I was there for 3 Jazz and Blues festivals, so 2009, 2010, 2011, and I slowly shuffled out of there and let those guys run with it, and they've done an amazing job with it.
We started on a slightly different footing. I think we then looked at marketing and organisation in a slightly different way. So that's the very beginning of it.